see there's a room full of people that love him.
time in faith. Sing our God. Sing. Our God is the God who, yeah, our God is the God. He answers. Yeah. Our God. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter what it feels like. He answers. 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 Every other God is an idol. They cannot see. They cannot speak. They cannot hear. But we serve the living God. We serve the living God. He answers. He answers. Rejoice. He answers. Your God answers. Our God answers. All the glory belongs to you. All the glory belongs to you. You answer prayer. You answer. You answer. You answer. You answer. You hear us. You hear us. You hear us. He moves mountains when we cross. He moves mountains when we cross. He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains when we cross. He moves mountains when we pray.
He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. When we pray. When we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. When we pray. When we pray. He moves mountains when we pray. Yeah. He moves mountains when we pray. Oh God. He moves mountains when we pray. When we pray. He moves mountains. He moves mountains when we pray. He moves mountains. He moves mountains when we pray. Is there anything too hard for God? When we pray. When we pray. Is there anything too hard for God? Is there anything too hard for God? Is there anything too hard for God? Say no. No. Is there anything too hard for God? Is there anything too hard for God? Is there anything too hard for God? Say no. 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 Nothing too hard. Nothing too hard. Nothing.
He heals bodies when we pray. He heals bodies when we pray. Cancer dries up when we pray. 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 He heals. When we pray. He saves. When we pray. He saves. When we pray. He saves. When we pray. He breaks bondage when we pray. Now, if he moves mountains and he breaks chains off of his people, chained people don't stand still. Unchained people don't stand still. Unchained people don't sit with their hands in their pocket. Unchained people are not silent, but there's a sound, and there's a look, and there's a dance, and there's a jump, and there's a response. He breaks chains. He breaks chains. He breaks. He answers prayer. Our God is the God. He answers. Our God. Our God. He answers. He answers. Our God is the God.
This house, last week, we learned that there's a certain kind of cry that Bartimaeus gave to Jesus when he was passing by. The krazo cry. It's the kind of cry that's intentional, that's intended to get the attention of the one you're crying to. I just want to know in this moment before I say the next thing, is there anybody who has that kind of cry in the room? This is the cry that gets his attention. This is the cry that causes Jesus to stop in his tracks and look your direction. People tell you to be quiet, but because you gotta get his attention, you refuse, and it makes Jesus look your direction. My God is the God. My God is the God who answers prayer. My God is the God who answers prayer. My God is the God who answers prayer. He answers prayer. Say it again, say it again, say it. Our God is the God who answers prayer. Our God is the God who answers prayer. Our God is the God who answers prayer. He answers prayer. He answers prayer. Hallelujah. When Bartimaeus got Jesus' attention, Mark chapter 10, there was a question that Jesus asked, and that question was, what do you want me to do for you? Now that you have his attention, the question is, what do you want him to do? So now we're talking about that he's a mountain mover, he's a God who heals, he's a chain breaker, he's a God who answers prayer. We're about to give you at least 2 minutes of a soundtrack where you're about to lift up your voice, whether you're praying in the spirit or you're praying in a language you understand. I want you to take the next moment and begin to lift up your voice and answer the question, what do you want him to do for you? Now pray, because he is the God who answers prayer. Go, 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 go.
you to declare